In Week 14 of the 2019 NFL season, the Ravens win again, the Patriots lose to 20 years of karma, and the NFC East looks more like the NFC Least week by week. This is the Snap UK podcast. Let's do this.
Hello and welcome to the Snap UK podcast, your weekly review of all things NFL by those in the know on this side of the pond. My name is Johnny Thrash and I have my voice back after suffering dreadfully with man flu. Yes, it's a real thing. With me, as usual, Griff, 4 inches Jimmy G, and the returning prodigal son, Gilo. How was the tiny chode replacement surgery? Good. Can you believe it's week 14 of the NFL?
No. I'm a bit surprised about how many people know what the word chode means, because I had no idea. And I thought this was an NFL podcast.
Yeah.
For real men.
This has become a chode podcast in the last few weeks. All talk, all chode. Each week.
The SAC UK NFL podcast.
I believe that name was suggested at one point.
It was. Well, so another jam-packed fixture list. So time to jump straight in and see who sewed up playoff glory and who stumbled towards the number one pick. And the first game we're going to feature is the NFC South champions who were crowned last week, the New Orleans Saints. And the hot tip for the Super Bowl, the San Francisco 49ers.
The San Franciscan 49ers didn't do very well.
It was a pretty good game, this, wasn't it?
Yeah, not much happened, really.
Hot tip for the Super Bowl. Jumping ahead a little bit there, aren't we?
Yeah.
They're second favourite, aren't they?
They are second favourite. Well, they were anyway.
Yes, I know, but that is just ridiculous.
They're favourite to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. What more do you want?
Well, we were 5th seed last week, so I'm not sure how that's the case.
Still
Literally,
favourite.
before this game we started, we were 5th seed, and the Seahawks were 2nd, and the Saints were 1st.
Home advantage is very important as to who is the favourite to come out of either conference.
Well, I completely agree with you. But you say that, the Saints have beaten the Seahawks away, the 49ers have beaten the Saints away, and the
Seahawks are beating us away.
Seahawks have beaten us away. So I don't know how important home field advantage will be. But anyway, on to the game. It was a good one.
Anyway, yeah. Well, it was Jimmy G. We start with the quarterbacks.
He's a handsome man.
He's a very handsome man.
He's an extremely handsome.
Is that where we're starting with?
Yeah.
I mean, he looks like a quarterback, doesn't he? He looks like a quarterback should look like.
Yeah.
Not like Carson Wentz.
I can see why he. Why
I
he
wondered
gets
where you were
calls.
going with that. After the analyst last week in San Francisco discussing Lamar Jackson and why he was so good at handoffs. Have you not seen this?
I saw that. Yeah.
I have read about
He has been fired, hasn't he?
He's been fired, and then Lamar Jackson obviously wore white sleeves this week, didn't he, to go with his outfit when they played. So I was scared where you were going with that. But no, I think this was a great game. Two great teams, two teams that have got good strengths on offense and defense. And I do wonder how much Jared Cook leaving the game cost the Saints, because he was a major threat at the start of that game until we knocked him out of it.
I'd say probably. I completely agree. I'd say it probably cost them the game, because after that, Jared Cook had two.
We're a chode podcast. I told you. Jared Cock at tight end.
Yeah. Brilliant. He had 2 very big catches for 2 touchdowns, but after that, no one else really contributed. Michael Thomas had 11 receptions. Ted Ginn had 4, but other than that, no one else really showed up for the Saints. And I think that's probably one of the biggest differences between the Saints and the 49ers. Drew Brees has a lot of weapons, not a lot of weapons to throw to, and Jimmy Garoppolo seemingly does have a lot of weapons to throw to. Sanders is getting the job done. Samuel, Kittle we know about, and pretty much 3 or 4 running backs out of the backfield. Mostert, Juszczyk, and Breida are all getting the job done.
I did kind of see it was very heavy on penalties for the Saints. From what I was watching, it seemed that they were conceding penalties at very crucial points.
Yeah, they actually
went to the point where they hadn't conceded any penalties.
They only conceded 5 penalties for 50 yards in total, but there were 5 key penalties.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, and that did cost them. There was one dubious pass interference call. I seem to remember, which was not pass interference, making contact with Carl Juszczyk's head. He was already going down. The player committed. By the letter of the law, it was a penalty, but the defender was unlucky. There's probably about 6 penalties on Kit on that last play,
which was just genius.
Yeah,
let him get down to the field goal point that he needed to get to. So he got the first down, got us within field goal range, and then just tag on another 15 yards on the end because someone tried to drag him to the floor with his face mask. It was just crazy.
It was their safety, Williams, wasn't it? Who just kind of grabbed on and
held on.
Fuck it, I've committed now.
Yeah. And then and then Kittle just carried on running for another 20 yards. The guy's a machine. Seriously impressive play. But it was great to see kind of 2 offensive geniuses in terms of Kyle Shanahan and Sean Payton literally go out at each other hammer and tongs on this. There was loads of trick plays. There were loads of intricate movements before the snap, which kept the defenses on their front foot or the back foot. It was a really interesting game to watch. There's been lots of discussion about 48-46. 49ers were meant to have the best defense in football. They conceded 46 points, but I'd argue they conceded 46 points against a really good offense.
Well, what was it at half-time? It was 30-27, wasn't it, at half-time?
When they adjusted.
Yeah, so I thought the second half... So I think the first half was just a great spectacle to watch as an NFL fan, but I thought the second half was just really interesting to watch, and it was quite pleasing for me as a Niners fan to see us win a close game against a rival, because if you look at where we've lost this year to the Ravens and to the Seahawks, both close games, both won 3-point losses where we didn't manage to get over the line, whereas this was in the Superdome at the end of the game. We managed to get there, which I thought was quite telling, actually. So it gives me more hope heading in playoffs than I probably had 2 weeks ago.
It's a big statement, I think, especially for Garoppolo, who probably hasn't had that 1 minute left on the clock moment to go and win the game. He had 53 seconds, I think, left on the clock. And, yes, there's 15 yards from a penalty, but, you've got to give it to him. He's orchestrated the drive along with Shanahan. I think he looked amazing. Yes, he threw one interception, but him and
Drew... was a bad interception as well. Right at the start of the second half.
But him and Drew Brees both played brilliantly. I think Drew Brees looked back to his best. We've moaned that he's not had the arm that he perhaps had in previous years, but he looked brilliant as well. It was just, like you say, it was an enjoyable game to watch. Well, not if you're a 49ers fan like me and standing up in front of your TV shouting.
You remember you're talking to 2 Giants fans and a Patriots fan. We don't remember winning.
Yeah, Niners have still got a tough run in as well, though, because they play the rejuvenated Falcons,
and
then they've got the Rams and then the Seahawks. So it's still,
and the Rams have got a lot better in the last couple of weeks as well.
Yeah, so they've still got a tough run in, which is crazy to say for a team doing so well, but they have still got a difficult run in. But yeah, it was an amazing game. It was wasn't it the highest point scoring game of
second highest points this season in a single game. For me, I felt the game was lost with the Alvin Kamara fumble, which the Saints, lost the control of the ball at a time.
First fumble all season for the Saints.
It was first fumble lost all season for the Saints. And Kamara, 13 rushes for 25 yards. He's only had 2 touchdowns all season. There's something missing without him. It's forcing... Murray has stepped up, generally speaking, but the team isn't the same without Kamara playing. He's had done for the first 2 years of his career. So that is why they couldn't overcome, because really they should have had that extra possession and then they would have had the ball last and the Niners wouldn't have had the opportunity to score. So it should have been 46, 43 or 44, whatever it was.
I think also it's him having 13 attempts for 25 yards just shows you how good that D-line is at the Niners.
Well, and it absolutely is. The Niners, the whole team has stepped up now. Both sides of the ball working in sync. And I was critical of Jimmy Garoppolo a few weeks back when I felt the defence was carrying a quarterback who hadn't quite upgraded the offence. But now, as has been said here, he is now one of the reasons why the team looks so good. And that's really
since week 8, he's got the most touchdowns in the league, hasn't he?
Yes, and he's 8th overall QBR.
Yeah,
I mean, you've got to remember, Trent Dilfer won the Super Bowl on the
Well, you've
back
also
of a good
got to remember
defense.
he came off an ACL.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well,
you
yeah,
know,
I think your point's right. He both came off an ACL, but yeah, you're right. At the beginning of the season, it was the defense and it was the running game that were winning 49ers games, and gradually as the season's gone on.
Seamless, I thought.
Yeah.
He's improved. He's improved in confidence, and he's proving to be the player which I think they traded for.
Sanders was
The best quarterback on display.
he was
1 for 1,
Insane
35
fun.
yards, touchdown.
Touched that throw off the back foot as well. He was literally leaning back as he let it go. Great throw.
And 7 receptions for 157 yards and a touchdown. I will say it now. When the Niners signed Emmanuel Sanders, there were a lot of people at this table who weren't happy about it. And I said, wow, this is going to open your team up and give your young receiving corps a leader to follow. And what has it done?
imagine if you left him on your bench in the first week of your fantasy playoffs.
I
How
imagine
would
he's
that go?
provided a lot of bench points this week.
Yeah.
Such a tough decision. You know, Deebo Samuel played so well last week. I left him on my bench and it screwed me. So
I mean,
No.
you two shat on that.
Yeah,
You
no, we
shat
both
on
did.
that trade.
I'll own up to that. We both didn't like that trade. It's worked.
I think it's done.
Happy to be proved wrong.
Done for the offense what Sherman's done for the defense in some ways. It's just put a leader in there, you know, to kind of lead that locker room and help guide them and show them, you know, what it takes to win a Super Bowl or what it takes to get into a championship game, all those kinds of things. It is important when you've got so many youngsters.
When you think about what we gave up from a third round pick, there was another podcast mentioned it. You know, the Saints could have gone and got him.
You've
And
been
imagine-
cheating on us with
I
another
thought,
podcast.
Richard Sherman
Yes,
also had one of his best games of the season. 7 tackles, including 1 for loss and a pass defence. And whilst both teams gave up loads of points, I thought he was one of the better backfield players on display. You know, he looked really, really good. He was stuck to his man all the time. This is what you need from players like him and Saunders. When they show up, this team is 95% of the way there. It's just the young players have got that little bit more push from those veterans. It's an excellent team.
Yeah, I think it was sad to see he went off right at the end of the game. I think he missed the last couple of plays. He might be missing the next game, but apparently it's not serious. But one thing I will say, actually, you know, the 49ers had a lot of injuries this year. A lot of injuries to key players, like Staley's had time out, McGlinchey's had time out, Juszczyk's had time out, Kittle's had time out. Lots of players on defense. D Ford, I don't think has really done anything because he's been permanently injured. But even during that game with K'Wan Williams went out, Achille Witherspoon out for a while, Nick Bosa was out for a couple of plays.
Jakiski Tart.
Yeah,
is out.
you know, loads of people have loads of other players have stepped up and have carried on playing as well. Now, Weston Richburg's injured and out for the rest of the season. The centre of the 49ers, he's an incredibly important piece of the offensive line because he plays how Kyle Shanahan wants a centre to play. He's very agile. He controls that line of scrimmage. So Ben Garland's came in. I thought he actually played well when he did come in, but whether he can continue that level in the next 3 games, I think that's a real key loss.
I think it's confidence with the 49ers that's the main thing at the moment. It's when you had 53 seconds left, I was watching it thinking, I know they're going to go down they're going to win.
I did not.
I didn't.
It's I think it's you look at the confidence on the sideline. I want to play for Robert Saleh.
Oh yeah, the guy is inspirational. Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I'd agree. Me and Griff were watching the game, and I knew that you were going to get it, and then
I'll tell you what though, because the football has been so good lately, I am watching less and less Red Zone all the time. It's a separate point, but I've thoroughly enjoyed watching a few games, full games, the last few weeks because there's been some great games.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it helps if your team is.
I think
Yeah,
it helps.
I mean, I watched both the 49ers games instead of Red Zone, but in both games I wasn't disappointed by. It wasn't like we won a bad game. We won a really entertaining game, and we lost a really entertaining game last
I
week.
think Paul makes a good point, though. I was confident that the Niners would win it because on the night there were 14 total kicks and not one of them was missed, not field goals or extra points, and that's been a rarity this season. This was 2 high-end kickers. Gould's missed a couple this season, but
It's a roof stadium, though, isn't it?
yeah, but
Superdome.
you never doubt either of these kickers. You know, there's no reason for your confidence to be shaken, even when they do miss the odd one. And in this game, I thought both of them executed perfectly.
Well, should we slide into the elsewhere into the NFC South?
Is it a slide if you say slide?
Yes. So the Falcons and the Panthers ended in a blowout win for Atlanta. Well done, Carolina, for firing Riviera.
Riviera.
Rivera.
He's called. I mean, nobody noticed he's called him Ron Riviera every opportunity.
Yeah.
I assume he just thinks he lives somewhere in the French Riviera.
He's just got a guy called Ron.
Ron from the Riviera,
Yeah.
like Jenny from the block.
That's right.
How many of you started Olamide Zacchaeus?
None.
No, I'm sure.
No, but it's a reason for
Yeah.
me not to go to work tomorrow.
But yeah,
Could
Panthers
only
just-
be more biblical if he was called like
Jesus Christ.
or Eli Zebekiah or something like that. It's right up there with one of those Old Testament names.
Yeah, Panthers were awful, weren't they? Quite frankly. Let's not
Yeah.
beat around the bush.
So they gave up to Zacchaeus one reception for 93 yards and a touchdown, and then
That's the longest touchdown in Matt Ryan's career, isn't it?
it is.
Yeah.
And the Panthers defensive player who gave up the score, was it Jackson? Dante Jackson gave up the 93-yard touchdown. Then came out after the game and said new Panthers interim coach Perry Fuel called a coverage on that play that they hadn't practiced all week, and he thought it was ridiculous and stupid, and he basically threw the new coach under the bus immediately and signed his death warrant with the team. That guy will not be getting an interview or anything.
He's expecting to get fined, isn't he?
I believe so, and he didn't seem bothered. I think he was basically saying, that's not on me, even though I just got made to look stupid.
To be fair, he's one of the better cornerbacks in the league,
Yeah,
and certainly
absolutely.
one of the best
What
players
was he
on
supposed to
Panthers.
do?
So yeah, fair enough. And
Stop the guy from getting a 93-yard touchdown.
look, I mean, the Panthers season it's gone, hasn't it? I mean, it went a couple of weeks back, and now it's obviously completely gone. It is a bit embarrassing losing to a Falcons team who are. I mean, they've been poor most of the season. They've been hot and cold the last last 2 or 3 games, but. Yeah, you can't expect a coaching team a new coaching team to suddenly arrive and cover everything at the drop of a hat. We were all surprised that we all expected Ron Rivera to get fired at the end of the season. We didn't see it happening last week, so I think it's a bit shitty of him to throw him under the bus. But he's not gonna lose his place. He's too good a player.
Yeah, Devonta Freeman, though, was this his first rushing touchdown of the season? 17 carries, 84 yards?
I think it might be, yeah.
I believe so. It was nice to see him get off and running, even though he was one of the reasons I got crucified in my fantasy playoff.
Hardly crucified.
What was that? I didn't even bother looking at the finals. You were 50 points up when I went to bed.
I won by 25 points.
Oh, well, there you go. I really reined that in, guys. I feel good about this. But
You made the playoffs.
I did.
All right. Well, not all of us
First
did.
time ever.
Not the first time ever.
Oh,
Last year was the first time I'd missed the playoffs.
Was it?
Yeah.
In
I
3
was,
years.
I was rubbish last
You
year.
remember the hissy-fitty through when he didn't make the playoffs?
Oh,
Did
we
I?
had to change the format of the league back to the
Did
8-team
I?
playoffs.
When you ditched all your players.
That's not a hissy fit. I think you should probably be checking your fantasy pool right now. If I were you, imagine if I'd done that while we were sitting here and no one could do anything about it. So Zacchaeus, Ridley, Jones, and Hooper all contributed decent yards on a handful of receptions. Once Julio Jones returned after missing the game last week, there was always a good
You've
chance.
dropped Bill Halpau.
But it made you look, didn't it?
I'll say, you won a game this weekend.
But Julio Jones' return was always going to make it difficult for the Panthers because last week the Falcons probably would have kept rolling if Julio had played, because the combination of Julio and Matt Ryan should be good enough to win most games on its own, and they've been bad on defence this season. But against other teams that can't defend, I don't think this was a surprise at all. Falcons should have won this all day long. They can't be continually wasting Matt Ryan. That's my concern. This was another prime... What's he, 34? It's another prime year of Matt Ryan.
You that old?
Well, 33,
Yeah,
34.
he's
Yeah.
He's 12 years in the NFL.
Yeah.
He's been
Same
there a long
year
time.
as Flacco got drafted.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's done. He's the
So what's he
second
got left
fastest.
realistically? 4 years?
4 to 6.
He's
But-
the second fastest player to 50,000 yards.
And
After Drew Brees.
but this is a
Yeah.
prime year wasted. Next year and the year after are key. So they've got to decide what to do on Freeman because they've got
there's a
nothing
space
else.
going at the Chargers if he wants to move, isn't there?
I just don't think that's going to happen. But this whole team needs to be rebuilt. But you must keep Matt Ryan, build around him, protect him.
So I don't know if it does need to be rebuilt because you look through this roster and there are a lot of quality players
Yes,
on
there
both sides of the ball.
All of the defensive players
all
are
the defensive
too
players,
injury prone.
They are injury prone, but a lot of the big ones were playing. Deion Jones was playing, Vic Beasley was playing, Grady Jarrett has been playing, Isaiah Oliver's been playing. These are decent footballers. I don't think it's. Yes, they've had issues with injury, but they've got good players on the team. It's not like the Bengals who have got a roster full of crap and AJ Green. They've got good players. I think it's for me. This is a coaching issue. I don't know. I think I've said Dan Quinn should have probably left the week of the Falcons of the bye. They've kept him on. I still think they'll get rid of him at the end of the season.
Yeah, I think they will too. Young Hae Koo, did he recover a fumble in this game?
He did.
He did.
That's pretty impressive. So he had 2 onside kicks recovered last week and recovered a fumble this week. This guy is determined to stick around in the league this year.
I'm a big fan. Plus 17 fantasy points.
Yeah, look, if you're able to kind of actually make onside kicks work, you're going to get paid next year.
Yeah, you are valuable.
Yeah.
There'll be some coach, like a Shanahan, like a Payton, like a Sean McVay, who's ingenious enough and
The Patriots have
Yeah,
just got
or
revolving
knowledgeable
door on
enough.
kickers as
Yeah.
well, haven't they?
there'll be a coach who's knowledgeable enough about the game who recognise that how important that is.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to so still leading the way in the AFC are the Baltimore Ravens, who overcame a stubborn Bills defense to clinch a playoff berth and set a single season high for points scored as a team in the process.
With 3 games to go.
Yeah. Lamar was more effective than
He's got to
spectacular.
1,000 yards then, hasn't he? Is he 39 yards behind Vic now?
23.
23 yards behind Vic in 3 games. He's going to crush it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he got the job done without actually being Lamar Jackson, which is what you need to see. This last couple of weeks, he basically hasn't been rushing around so much because teams...
100
They
yards
haven't-
last week.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't every play. It
No.
was more about can he just cut through with the passing. And against this Bills defense, you've got to be accurate, and he was. I mean, okay, there was 1 interception, but to throw 3 this was the first time the Bills have given up 3 touchdown passes all season. We've lauded the Patriots, who until last week had only given up 4 passing touchdowns. We've said how good teams like the Rams, the Seahawks, and the Niners have been on defense. Teams like this who don't give up a lot of passing touchdowns. We've barely mentioned the fact that the Bills had only given up 2 in games on 2 other occasions. And this time they gave up 3 to the best attack in football.
I think the last 2 weeks have been really important for the Ravens. They've played 2 very good defenses in the 49ers now and the Bills, and they've come through both of them. Okay, they've not scored 30, 40, 50 points like they've been doing in past weeks, but they've proved they can grind out a result. They've proved that they can go up against a great defense and score points. And what more do you want?
Well, this week they play the Jets.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they should absolutely
But
rinse them.
The Jets are so inconsistent.
Yeah.
But still, they are bad.
Well, I suppose they beat the Cowboys. That was the beginning of the Cowboys slide into
yeah,
shite.
We'll get
yeah.
to that. Devin Singletary, good game, 89 yards rushing, 29 yards receiving off 6 receptions. I mean, this is what they need to do. Devin Singletary has to lead the way rushing. You can't. Frank Gore only had 4 carries in this game. This is how it has to be now. But more importantly, Josh Allen has been the second best rushing quarterback
this year.
all season. 2 carries for 9 yards in this game. They could not get him out of the pocket.
He got beaten by a 42-year-old man at rushing
Yes,
this
he
week
did. He did. He got
in 1 carry.
It's absolutely crazy because basically the Ravens did what the Bills wanted to do. The Bills wanted to take away Lamar Jackson, and they partially did it. But the Ravens completely stuffed Josh Allen. If he only rushes for 9 yards in a game, the Bills won't win many games.
I think the other thing they did was they took away the long ball. You look at
John Brown.
Yeah, they took away John Brown. Josh Allen's longest throw or longest pass completion was 37 yards to Dawson Knox, and most of that was a run.
That was mainly a kind of an amazing catch.
Yeah. So they took away that option, and that's what the Bills rely on people doing that, and that should have opened up more intermediate routes, but that's not Josh Allen's game. He can throw it long, and he can throw an absolute howitzer at someone short and knock them off the feet.
Yeah, he's still only thrown 2 interceptions since like week 7.
I think he's
But
definitely
only 17 of 39 in this game, 146 yards. Like I say, he got shut down. He couldn't get out of the pocket to run. They took away the deep ball. That's it. That's his game.
Yeah. How important was the injury to Mark Andrews in this? Because he's been a real go-to guy for Lamar Jackson over the
Yeah,
last few
killed me
weeks.
in fantasy.
Yeah.
They've got about
I was talking more about the Ravens.
3 or 4 different
Yeah,
tight ends.
Hayden
though.
Hurst had I think that was his first touchdown of the season as well. He basically slid into the Mark Andrews role on 3 receptions for 73 yards from the tight end position.
They often have multiple tight ends, don't they, to help block for Lamar.
Yeah, Nick
anyway.
Boyle's the other one as well. He had 2 receptions for just 10 yards, but a touchdown.
You'd
So
expect more from
guys
him.
last week. They only in the second half they only threw to tight ends.
Yeah.
That's what they do. Yeah.
The other highlight for me on this was Marcus Peters. It was the last play of the game, or the last Bills play. He defended a pass thrown his way, and jumped into the crowd and chugged a beer.
Nice.
And there is nothing
Awesome.
wrong with that because you
He's-
should be allowed to celebrate that.
He seems so happy in Baltimore.
Doesn't he? He's a different player.
Yeah.
He's the player that we came to know and love at the Chiefs, and who we were all impressed.
I mean, to be fair, he hasn't thrown his socks in the crowd yet.
Not yet, but he did jump into the crowd and drink
Yeah.
someone's beer.
He was defensive rookie of the year when he.
Yeah, he
His
was
first
brilliant.
year, so-
He did nothing at the Rams.
Well, they're rubbish, aren't they?
We should point out as well, Cole Beasley now has set his career record for touchdown receptions in a season with 6, because he did get another one in this game. So that's been a great acquisition
Yeah.
for them. We said it last week, we discussed it in detail, but really there's not a lot wrong with this Bills team at all. So, yes, it's a close loss to what's going to be a playoff rival, and they haven't clinched a wild card spot yet, the Bills, but they will. They are going to be good enough. This is a playoff team.
I was their biggest detractor, and they've totally
You went off on one at the start of the season, didn't you?
No, their biggest detractor is still Michael at the beginning of the season, I'd say.
No,
On McDermott, especially.
Yeah, the two of you.
I think you'll
But
find I
even
said the team is good. I don't like McDermott. I stand by it. I still don't like McDermott, but he's
DK.
doing a great job.
week 8, I was saying that they're the worst team in playoff contention still, and
And yet the Cowboys are still there.
yeah, no, I'm totally won around by the Bills.
Wow, our division sucks.
And
Yes.
I showed you that video of
Oh, we can't
Beast-
not that video. Right.
the other one I showed you, of Beasley after the Dallas game.
Yes, you did. Of them just congratulating
Yeah,
him.
and then carrying him around the dressing room. It feels like a real team spirit there, which I think he didn't have at Dallas.
I like the other video you showed with the woman and the ping pong balls, though.
That was from the Dallas Cowboys.
Jerry Jones paid for that.
Should we quickly
The
mention,
irony of the fact it says slide into as the next thing.
should we mention the Bengals? They lost 19-27 against the Browns.
I really
course they
thought the
did.
Bengals would win this.
So did I.
I was cheering for
Really?
the Bengals. Yeah.
Is it at the Browns?
So
Yeah.
fed up
Yeah.
with the Browns this season. I'm just done.
I am as well.
The
But
fact that they're still hanging around in the playoff race disgusts me. The fact that Beckham
No,
now
they're-
wants out, absolutely, I feel great about that. I hope it dissolves that locker room. He never wanted to be there in the first place. This is the thing. People are saying, oh, he now wants out. Don't forget, he was traded. He didn't know he was leaving New York, and he doesn't want to be in Cleveland. The fact
He
that
didn't want to
now-
be in New York, but that didn't mean he wanted to be in Cleveland.
No, he maybe wanted to be in New York, just not on the Giants. Maybe wanted to be at the Jets or the Bills or anywhere. He wanted to
We
stay
all
in a
know.
bigger market. He doesn't want to. It's all about brand.
no, end up.
We do.
Do we?
XFL.
Yeah, the XFL.
Patriots.
He's not going to pay. We would never give up enough to get him.
You would.
You would.
You reckon? Well, he better hurry up and
You
get
gave
there.
up a first.
Although-
You gave up a first
If you
round
leave-
pick for Brandon Cooks.
if you
You give up
leave-
a first round pick for Beckham.
If you leave the Giants because you hate the fact that you've got an aging quarterback who doesn't throw it long anymore. Yeah,
Yeah.
Patriots is the place you want to be.
Is Beckham the same player he was before he got injured, or is he just
No.
hype though?
It's mostly hype and the fact that there just aren't enough targets to go around on the Browns team, which is what we said. Prior to the start of the season, there's too many mouths to feed. Jarvis Landry's been a machine there this season, and he's basically taking the limelight away from Beckham, and that's what he doesn't like.
I think the injury has made him a far less dynamic player.
Which injury? The one he's got now, or the one he previously had? Because
The-
apparently now he's injured as well.
Are we saying the Giants possibly did something smart?
No.
All right,
But
good.
we're saying maybe
I just
the
wanted to make
Browns-
sure.
Maybe the Browns didn't. Yeah, didn't Baker Mayfield have to apologise for throwing the medical team under the bus?
Yes, he
after the
did.
game?
And that, I mean, for me, that sums up Cleveland at the moment. In that there's no discipline at all for any of that team, and Freddie Kitchens has to go.
Yeah.
He
We
will.
mentioned Denzel Ward. They gave them their first defensive touchdown since 2017.
Week
Week
14.
six.
Oh, week 6, 2017. I even wrote it
Over
down for
2
you.
years.
Don't forget that year. That was the bad year.
That was their very bad year. But yeah,
As a whole, though, Andy Dalton played well. He outplayed Baker, but neither of them are actually outstanding on the day. And I am rapidly losing any faith in Baker becoming anything other than a gimmick player.
he'll be fine.
He's not a leader.
He needs a better coach.
Well, that's just
He's
it.
a sober Johnny Manziel. I might have said that before.
You have.
He's
I think
not.
many people have said that before, but
completely-
John's right. He needs a better coach. He needs a more disciplined coach. He shouldn't have been in charge or have anything to do with the decision to hire Freddie
Is
Kitchens.
he not just a jumped up Minshew? John.
That sounds like a horribly itchy thing you'd have to scream for. I've got a
Possibly.
jumped up Minshew.
I mean, to say someone's a
But you
jumped
could-
up
I
Minshew.
looked at
You can't be any more jumped up than Minshew.
Joe Mixon deserves some respect from this game. 23 carries, 146 yards, a touchdown, and 3 receptions for 40 yards.
Yeah, well done.
a
for being-
superb handoff.
Yeah,
And a superb handoff.
well done for
And-
the only player on the Bengals team.
Yeah, but the first 10 weeks of the season, he did nothing. And the last 3 games, he's been really, really good.
Dalton definitely going at the end of the season.
Yes, I think so, because I think they'll draft another quarterback, and somebody's going to pick up a guy who could probably be next year's version of this year's Tannehill. He's just going to go... It's like Carson Palmer when Palmer went to the Cardinals. You suddenly get 3 good years out of a player who's turned stale somewhere else. He's going to be fine on another team. He's never going to be brilliant, but he's going to be good enough about another team. And I don't know... I don't think the Bengals are making a mistake, because I think it's gone stale there. But... You know, I'm not sure they're necessarily going to upgrade by getting rid of Andy Dalton.
Well, let's round out the AFC North. The Steelers beat the Cardinals 23-17. Arizona's 6th straight defeat. And, Kyler Murray, his performances are not as strong as they start the season, and he's behind that. Still got an awful O-line.
He's getting
Yeah.
beaten up every week.
Yeah, apparently he's got a bit of a hamstring injury as well. 'Cause since the
he's
bye
certainly not
week,
as mobile.
he's not been as mobile. Even on that last play where he threw an interception to TJ Watt, he could have ran for the first down if it was the Kyler Murray that we'd seen the first couple of weeks.
Duck Hodges is 3-0 as a starter this season.
Duck Hodges.
Devlin Hodges.
It doesn't mean he's good.
No, it doesn't mean he's
But
good, but
there's-
what it means
there's
is
stats
he's
to
not
show he's good.
bad.
He's okay. You take Mason Rudolph was picked off 9 times in 9 games. Duck, as they call him, has had 2 turnovers in 5 appearances. 4 of them wins.
And it's like Tomlin said, he doesn't kill us. And that's all you've got to do, because
Yeah.
the defence is excellent. They're doing enough on offence with, who the hell is Kerrith White? 5 carries for 41 yards. Never heard of him. Benny Snell Jr., we know of. Devlin Hodges had 34 yards on 5 carries. He's just doing enough to keep the team from being in a bad spot.
Yep.
They're now...
Connor will be back at some point before
This week,
buys.
apparently. Connor's due back this week. I don't know when Juju's back. But so at the start of the season, I had the Steelers going deep in the playoffs, didn't I? With Big Ben. And I thought they could have had got to the championship game. But I think they've just been unlucky. I think they've been really unlucky this year. And actually, I think their locker room is far less toxic. I think
Yeah.
Absolutely.
we've seen sometimes, the Niners did this, got rid of some big players I didn't necessarily want to see go, and then rebuilt with different characters. So I don't think you'd ever see Beckham go to the Niners while Shanahan's there, because he's
No,
just
not
not
anymore.
interested in people like that. And I think the Steelers, you're going to see over the next year or two, if they can find the replacement for Big Ben, I think they're going to turn into a really good team again in the next year or two.
I think you're absolutely right. I think kind of last year and the previous years before, this was a team made up of 3 individuals, the killer bees, as they call themselves. And now, 2 of them have been gone, 1's injured, and they're actually a team again. And it adds to the argument we made last week about Mike Tomlin being coach of the year, because this Steelers team is, again, you look at the personnel, there's no one on here that would scare you before the start of the season. If you looked at that roster and the people they're playing, apart from on the offensive side, you'd be saying this is a team that's going to lose most games.
To be fair, if somebody told me I'm going to have an undrafted rookie called Duck at quarterback, I'd be pretty scared.
Undrafted rookies are 4-0 against number 1 picks this season as quarterbacks go. Just as a thing that I saw out there. That's quite impressive. Joe Hayden deserves the mention from this game, as Joe Mixon did from the last game. Is he putting his name forward as one of the defensive players of the season? Because he is securing games every week.
There's somebody else in that team who'd get it before
Fitzpatrick.
him.
The 2 of them
TJ
combined
Watt.
have been amazing.
You TJ
Yeah,
Watt.
and keep going and keep going. The
Yeah.
whole defence is excellent. But Joe Hayden seems to fly under the radar every week. And I just feel he needs to be given some credit. He's got at least four interceptions on the season. He had 2 in this game alone, and he's on about 13 passes defence, which is leading the league. I don't know. I think if you take him out, this defence is still really good, and that's why he probably won't get in the running. But he's an excellent component and just deserves more airtime.
I think it's probably going to be Gilmore or Bosa.
Even I think Aaron Donald's getting a bit more love at the moment, especially after last week's game.
Gilmore has been so good
Gilmore's
this year.
been astounding.
Yeah, he certainly has. There's a lot of people. This is why it hasn't been talked about so much, because there's just so many candidates, but 3 of them are on this team. Is the point I'm making?
What have you put in these notes? Will the Steelers upset a team in the playoffs? This is a very Griff thing to write. Thinking New England. So I said at the start of the year that they're the sort of team that could beat New England. I thought that with Big Ben. I'm not sure without Big Ben that they'll have the experience to do it. Because they'd have to go to Foxborough.
Do you not think this would just be a defensive slugfest, and it would just be whoever's got the best kicker? And at the moment, that's clearly the Steelers. That's my thinking. It would be 2 teams scoring barely 200
if
yards.
the Steelers could get the running game going against the Patriots,
if they get Juju back as well,
they would have a chance. But I honestly think that they would be.
Because
it'd be a very difficult place to go.
They are
and
the
win.
6th seed at the moment.
So currently, as it stands, they'll be playing Kansas.
Yeah, but the point
I can't
is
see them beating Kansas.
No, but they are in the playoff at the moment. If it stopped today, they are in. That is a phenomenal Mike Tomlin coaching.
Yes,
and I just think nobody's going to want to play the Steelers because you don't really know what you're. It's a load of players you've never seen on film. You don't really want to play that in the playoffs. So it just on my mind.
But Belichick will find a new way to cheat in the playoffs.
plus Belichick's seen those guys on film. So the Pats put their 21-game home winning record on the line against the Chiefs late on Sunday and came up short, despite playing well on defence, as Brady and the offense failed to punch in a touchdown with the game winding down. Is this the year that
Don't say
it doesn't fall their way in December and January? No.
You only said that because it was written down.
Yeah, it did, yeah. But I'm answering myself, no. They find a way.
Everyone's looking at me waiting for the tirade.
No, I'm not giving you the satisfaction. Let's move on to the next game. So the Jets are playing the Dolphins.
Patrick Mahomes was all right, wasn't he? Looks like he's back to his best.
No, see, I didn't think he
Hurt
did.
his hand, doesn't he?
No, I didn't think he looked that good.
Okay, for all of New England's woes on offense, they've still got a good defense, and he still managed to put up 283 passing yards against them, and also had a bit of a run as well, or 6 carries for 6 yards. But generally, Kansas were good.
That's about the time that Paul gets involved with stats.
Yeah.
Tom Brady, though, 2 carries for 20 yards, was New England's second best rusher.
You know what? Also, that run, I think, what was it, for 17 yards?
14 yards, yeah.
17 I've got here.
Was it 17? Oh, okay.
That's the first time I've seen Tom Brady run where it doesn't look like he's running through treacle.
Yeah.
It was his longest run since 2014.
Maybe it just takes him a while to get going.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
Well, his age,
about
it makes
14
sense.
weeks, apparently. Yeah, look, for me, the running game is the biggest problem because this time last year, our running game stepped up and took the pressure off Brady, and we don't have a running game
It
this
is
year.
awful. Rex Burkhead
We took
did nothing,
Sony Michel
did
ahead of Nick Chubb to the Browns.
Yes, you did.
What a mistake! I know. I
I
looked
really
it up.
had to
I
think
checked.
about that. Yeah.
I think this is the problem. If you're going to have an old quarterback who's still good, puts up the yards, there's another poor interception, but puts up the yards with not great weapons around him, you've got to have a running game that works.
Fair. Sony Michel was decent last year, so I don't think we can say drafting him ahead of Nick Chubb was a
He
terrible
was never as good as
decision.
Nick Chubb.
You could have gone after Melvin Gordon at the start of the season. couldn't
Yeah,
you?
there are other options. They haven't done enough to take the pressure off Brady, but I don't think it's all about the receivers. It's about the running game as well. This time last year, our running game caught fire and we looked really good. And we don't have a running game. James White's doing a decent job, but he's not
He's not a running back.
Yeah, he's not a proper running back.
He's not a running back
receiving
at all.
running back.
He goes like 3 or 4 games without actually having a
Appearing.
rush.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when you get Le'Veon Bell in next year, making Brady take his entire contract as a signing bonus, it'll be fine.
So
I don't think Brady will be there next year.
No, I don't think Brady will be there.
I thought he was there till he's 45.
He's only 42 now.
I don't
He's
think he'll be
playing
there.
until he's 45.
He didn't say he'd be playing in New England.
True.
So, we have to mention the fact that the Patriots were victims of some officiating.
How do you like it now?
Yeah.
Perfectly.
See how you like it on your side, bitch.
There's been so little sympathy for this.
And I would like to point out, I haven't
Across
asked
the
for any
globe.
sympathy. I just had to put it in the script because it was there. So one or the other of these would have been enough for the game. So
Where do you
the
want
one
to
that
start? Which
irritates
one?
me the most is the
Out of bounds
fumble
one?
recovery. No,
Oh.
the fumble recovery, because the
The
league
Steelers
have
scoring a
told-
perfectly legal touchdown last year. The Jets scoring a perfectly legal touchdown last year.
Absolutely, I'm not.
The Rams perfectly winning the Super Bowl 20 years ago.
It's like I said to Jim this week. Our best offensive weapon this season has been offensive pass interference. Sorry,
Obviously.
defensive pass interference. We just throw the ball up, and that's
You've been doing it for years.
Yeah, and our first two drives in this game that resulted in scores were helped by that. But the officials have been told by the league, do not whistle the ball dead unless you are sure. And I think it was Kelsey.
It was
it?
Kelsey,
Kelsey was 2 feet off the floor when he dropped the ball, and they blew it dead straight away. And Gilmore was clean through.
I remember something similar happened to the Jaguars against, who was it? It
They,
was against the Patriots in the AFC Championship game, and Miles
Yeah,
Jack had it, and he was clean through for a touchdown. So yeah, I mean there is a bit of sympathy there.
it happens all the time.
It does.
This happens.
You're
all
right.
But
the
it's
time.
not supposed to. And
has-
that's more irritating than the other one, because the other one's an honest mistake.
Yeah.
The line judge has said, I couldn't see because I was blocked by a player, so I threw it to the next judge, and he said, I think he's out. So we ruled it out, and the Patriots had
No challenges left.
no challenges left because
They'd already thrown two.
they'd already
challenges.
thrown the
So
challenges
this is what surprised me.
on the fumble recovery, which they were then given the ball, but they'd lost the opportunity to score.
I never realised that if you actually get a challenge right, you don't get it.
You don't get the
back.
challenge back. Yeah, you don't get the
You get the timeout.
You
back,
get the
but you
time.
don't get the challenge.
You don't.
So once
you don't get
even if
charged
they-
the timeout.
Yeah. So even though Belichick rightly threw a challenge, and yes, he was absolutely right to, and they reversed that decision. He wasn't then allowed to throw another challenge.
I think it was due. It's due to the amount of time the additional time it takes.
I
Yeah,
can't
but
remember,
I'd
but
rather-
apparently Belichick every year submits it at the owners' meeting and says, I
Doesn't
think we
make
should
sense.
be
They
allowed
do-
to keep
I
our
mean-
challenges when we get them right, and every year it gets rejected. So.
In tennis, if you challenge a call and you get it right, you get that
Keep the
challenge.
challenge,
You
yeah.
keep that challenge. Like if they,
Same in cricket.
yeah, that's bullshit. Quite frankly.
So you are sort of
I am
on
so-
board
like,
slightly
yeah,
with what I'm saying.
I'm happy it happened to you, but I'm on board.
The frustrating thing about it is the touchdown that was ruled out of bounds. So N'Keal Harry was said to have touched his foot out of bounds before he scored, which he didn't. We were 3 yards with 2 or 3 plays left on the drive to score, and we couldn't get the ball in because we don't have a running game. It is not the officials' fault that we don't have a running game.
So, John, just imagine, John, you played roulette for 20 years, right?
Okay.
You go to a casino and you play roulette for 20 years, and for 20 years straight, your numbers come up. You put money on the table, and for 20 years, you win at roulette. How angry would you be after 20 years that you didn't win one game?
Furious.
Fair enough.
Absolutely.
That's not related to anything.
No.
I just thought I'd throw it out there.
I think also a little bit like the Saints in the fact that there's, aside from Julian Edelman, N'Keal Harry looks all right, but he's still very, very raw. There's no one there for Brady to pass to. Like the list of people he's passing to, Matt Lacoste, Mohamed Sanu isn't the same.
hasn't
It's not worked yet. Ben Watson is almost as old as Brady. We've talked about Sonny Michel not really doing much this year. There's Jacoby
One
Myers.
reception for 1 yard.
Yeah, and
5
Jacoby
carries for 8
Myers, who
yards.
dropped what was a pretty straightforward pass in the end zone. There's no one else apart from Edelman, so it's easy for teams to double team Edelman, take him out.
He
the
was
game.
double teamed all night, wasn't he?
all night, yeah.
Well,
It was
in
painful.
the first half.
And he's still got 8 receptions for 95 yards, but you take him out of the game. It's like who do you expect Brady to throw to?
At half time, New England was 17-3 down, and they scored 13 points in the second half, and only let the Chiefs score 6, I think.
You scored an early touchdown
Nine
with
points.
the trick play, didn't
Yeah.
you?
But
Yeah.
we stopped. Kansas City only scored 3 points in the second half. Sorry, I'm
It
reading
was
the wrong
27
thing.
at half time.
Yeah, so they only scored 3 points in the second half, and we moved Edelman to the outside, so he wasn't getting double teamed in the middle, wasn't getting beaten up, and we adjusted like we always do. The problem is we don't have a running game. It's nothing else. It's just that we don't have a running game. Brady is good enough to lead a team, but you've got to take the pressure off a 42-year-old man. He cannot be your second best rusher of the game. So roulette or otherwise, it's poor preparation from a team that should have drafted a tight end, made sure the running back stable was working.
Hey, you traded a 6th round pick for a crap tight end from Atlanta.
Yeah, but what
We
you've
did.
got to remember is the whole system of the NFL is set up to mean that if you keep winning, you can't just keep drafting a good tight end
Absolutely.
and a good running back, because the idea is you're supposed to level the playing field. You're not supposed to be able to go and do those things because you're the best team already.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of the system. Otherwise, it would, dynasties would go on forever, wouldn't they?
Of course, and this is the point. I'm not complaining about the fact we're not winning. What I'm saying is, for a team that prides itself on excellent preparation, there's some massive gaps in this year's preparation. We might be very good at knowing what the other team is going to do, but if you haven't got the players to carry out what you're planning, that's not good preparation.
Who have you lost to?
The Chiefs.
The Chiefs?
Ravens,
Ravens.
and Texans.
Yeah, so it's
And you
the other
nearly
three
lost to the
division-
Cowboys as
Yeah,
well.
it's the
So
other three
you've lost to
division
3
leaders.
teams leading their division.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We lost to the Jets.
Yeah,
Again-
but they have one of the weakest schedules
Yes.
in the entire league.
It's been
if
very
it wasn't for the fact that their schedule was so weak, I think they've lost something like 4 out of 6 against winning teams or something like that.
3 out of 6
3 out of
against
6
winning
against
teams.
winning
Yeah, yeah. I'm not disagreeing with that either.
I think the real tell on this game is when you're throwing out a trick play in the first quarter to try and score a touchdown. Those
Was a great touchdown.
It was great. Don't get me wrong, but those trick plays are kept for when you're in dire need of them. Probably in the playoffs, when you keep them as late as possible, where people can't watch as much film.
We
on them
need
as
one
possible.
every week just to move the ball.
You almost need one every possession.
One every quarter.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, really, the Chiefs. This is why I wasn't that impressed with Mahomes. 283 yards is fine, but he didn't. The accuracy wasn't there really, and
Another 20 odd points though against the number 1 defense in the league.
the only thing that stopped Kansas from racking up a bigger score was the fact they don't have a rushing game either. LaShawn McCoy, 11 carries, 39 yards, was their lead rusher. Tyreek Hill
Yeah.
had 2 carries and only got 8 yards. That's almost unheard of. They got nothing
Kareem
going.
Hunt has really hurt them.
Yes, by
As
not
much
being
as
available.
much as
for
his
them.
girlfriend, almost.
Sammy Watkins turned up in this game, 4 receptions for 50 yards.
Yeah, he's literally been pretty much dead for the last few weeks.
Yeah, finally, turned up. So, this is 2 teams that we suspected would be going deep in the playoffs, and actually, there's some big gaps on both of these teams.
Who wants to mention SpyGate 2.0?
It's not spying; it's a film. They're making a film.
So is it like what Leeds did, like for their Amazon Prime?
No, it's more like, have you seen that film Argo?
It's more like, you
Where
remember
they're
SpyGate
they're
1.0?
pretending to make a film. It's a whole spy thing. They're pretending to make a film to get some hostages out of Iran. Basically, the Patriots have been caught with their pants down. They're saying, "Oh, we're making a film." Yeah, it's bullshit. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, I agree with you. I believe I sent you the link about it being a film and
Is
said,
that what you sent? Oh, I just heard about it.
yeah, I just sent it and said, yeah, this is obviously this is what you would say. Yeah, I think they've been caught
They're
cheating
trying
again.
to say it's a completely different department, isn't it? It's nothing to do with the actual, the football
A
operations.
bit like Deflategate when they said, "Oh no, it's just some guy who does. It's nothing to do with anyone else."
Yeah, then Brady got suspended for 4 games.
Look, you won't catch me denying it. I absolutely think they've done it, and I don't think anything will come of it because I think they will struggle to prove that it's not a film. They do seem to have a filming permit signed by the Bengals or whoever it was they were
Yeah,
filming.
it doesn't mean you could just record the sideline.
I couldn't agree more. I'm not disagreeing. I don't know. I find it frustrating. that
Every
they got-
team's going to be making a film.
Well, that seems like. Do you want to come round my house for dinner? Oh, you fucked my wife. Brilliant. It just seems to be we've invited you to do something, and you've totally fucked us over with it.
So Paul's got some individual issues
I
there.
didn't realise that was an invite that stood at your house. Does
No,
your
we
wife
move
get a
on.
say?
I think we should move
We're
on.
not recording there this week.
So the Pooper Bowl,
Yeah, the Pooper Bowl, the Jets and the Dolphins. This
The-
should be the quickest game that we get through.
22-21.
Jets won.
Jets
Fair
The
play.
won.
only reason
the Dolphins should have won.
The only reason the Jets won is because
and
Devontae Parker got
Devontae
knocked out of
Parker.
the game.
So I'll tell you what, the Jets are celebrating at the end like they'd won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The Jets are just toilet.
10 field goals combined in this game is a league record.
Just imagine that. The contented face of somebody who has Jason Sanders in their fantasy team for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, what's he put nearly 35 points in 2 weeks, fantasy.
Yeah.
Crazy. moving on quickly.
Yeah. AFC South has turned into the division to watch recently.
Has it left you speechless?
Yeah. The Texans.
This game left me a little bit speechless.
It was incredible, wasn't it?
Yeah. They lost spectacular fashion to the Broncos and their rookie quarterback, Drew Lock.
Yeah, Drew Lock actually looks like a find.
Well, so when we did our mock draft last year, I think I took Drew Lock. Well, I definitely took him higher than Daniel Jones.
Well,
I was the one who took Will Greer early.
But Drew Lock was getting some pretty good press. You know, he had when he went into the draft, and then he just seems to have got because he sat for a year.
Because he was drafted by Elway, I think he got tainted.
Yeah, but
and also because Fangio described him as a pitcher rather than a football player. Just said he just throws the ball, that's it. But he seems to have had time to sit and learn with the injury that he's had. And if he's just going to play like this, he's immediately better than the other two quarterbacks they've had this season. So that's a good start.
Brett Favre made a Hall of Fame career out of just throwing it, basically, didn't he?
More or less,
winging it, yeah.
I think he's now got that offense looks quite interesting to watch going into next year. Okay, they've still got no offensive line that needs to be addressed, but you got two decent running backs, Royce Freeman and Philip Lindsay. You've got Cortland Sutton on the outside. Noah Fant looked awesome against the Texans on Sunday.
well, rookie quarterbacks, where do they always go?
Always goes to the tight end. And he's got a quarterback who doesn't look like a Broncos quarterback, but looks like a Peyton Manning Broncos quarterback. Okay, he's not Peyton Manning.
22 of 27 for 309 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an awful pick.
Not 3,019 yards.
Not
as
3,019.
ESPN said.
No. But a QBR of 98.6. Compared to Watson, who went 28 of 50, 292, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, and a QBR of 51.2. Watson's supposed to be, the top 5 quarterbacks of the season. Did nothing to help his team.
Well, it was all garbage time points, wasn't it?
Absolutely. It was never this close. It was never as close as 38-24 shows. So,
and I do like Drew Lock's celebration, where he pretends to be Buzz Lightyear.
Buzz Lightyear, yeah. Has he not got a tattoo of him on his arm, and people took the mick out of him, apparently?
Oh, really?
So
I didn't know that.
Yes, I believe
I'll take the mick out of him next week, then.
I believe he has him on a sleeve tattoo.
Is it as good as the dude from the... what's the one with Jaden Smith on him?
Who?
Impractical Jokers.
Oh, I don't know.
Look that up. It's genius.
Yeah, Noah Fant, 4 receptions, 113 yards and a touchdown with a long of 48 on his 4 targets. If they can build that connection between Locke and Fant, this team is actually going to be good because don't forget, they've got a defensive coach and all the parts of a good defence already there. They don't have to do a lot with the defence.
It's a shame they haven't got like a veteran kind of receiver just to lead the locker room. And just,
I don't think they need it. Cortland Sutton has done a great job this season.
To be fair, he has.
It's all on fantasy this week.
Yeah, all right, it wasn't good. He only had 34 yards, but that's because the targets all went to Fant.
The other thing from this game is Von Miller has got apparently he's carrying a knee injury and he can only rush from one side, which is the opposite side to what he usually rushes from, and he still managed to get a sack and a half.
Yeah,
still brilliant, and like you say, next year Bradley Chubb's coming out. They're going to lose Chris Harris Jr., so they'll need to bring in a decent cornerback, but there's still the pieces for a decent team there.
Well,
Elway's done a good job.
Don't say.
If you throw enough darts, you will hit the board.
A stop clock is right twice a day.
Yeah,
love throwing a little grenade in there. At the
I'd
end.
still get Elway out signs up.
Remaining in the AFC South, Tannehill moved to 6-1 as a starter for the Tetons as they dismantled the Raiders 42-21.
So the Raiders kept pace. This was 21-21, and then all of a sudden they stopped playing, and Tannehill and the Tetons took over and just decimated them.
This was so interesting because it did seem like somebody just went to the sideline and went, Oakland, remember you suck.
Biggest problem for the Raiders was Josh Jacobs scratched just before the game with the shoulder injury that he's carrying. Whilst DeAndre Washington, 14 carries, 53 yards and a touchdown, played okay, this is not the same team without Josh Jacobs. He's been a revelation.
Yeah, he's nailed on for offensive rookie of the year.
You reckon?
Yeah, I reckon so.
Maybe.
Who else is there?
I have no idea who else it would be.
Kyler Murray is probably the only...
Debo Samuel?
Yeah, potentially, but no.
Kyler Murray's the only.
AJ Brown.
Well, yeah, that's what I was about to come on to. There were 50 players taken ahead of A.J. Brown, including N'Keal Harry for the New England Patriots.
Oh, that's gone well.
He looks like a legit receiver. Okay, he had a slow start, but the last few weeks he's been playing really well. And on Sunday, 5 receptions, 153 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 191 passing touchdown, where he didn't seem to be running that fast and yet still managed to outrun the defensive back, who are normally pretty quick. But he's been awesome.
I think a lot of the rookie wide receivers, they tend to just be a little bit streaky, don't they? Have big games and then they go missing. Think about Hollywood Brown as well. Some weeks for the Ravens he's looked amazing, and other weeks 0 fantasy points. So they're all like it. I think. Deebo Samuel again. He has strong games and he isn't used much in the game the week after or doesn't bring in his targets. So I think it just. They're getting used to different matchups and different looks and stuff, aren't they? So
I think when you compare him to the other wide receiver the Titans got, Corey Davis, who was selected in the first round a couple of years back, he's never really done anything. He's certainly not had as far as I can remember, he's not had a 153-yard game. And he's never looked like having a 153-yard game.
I couldn't decide in this game which of the following names I liked the most. Michael Pruitt, Anthony Frisker, or Rico Gafford. All names I don't recall ever seeing on a stat sheet
definitely
before.
the last one.
You've left one out, which you're not even going to try and pronounce, really.
Go on.
Kari Blazigami?
I've seen that on a sheet already this season. The other ones I had not even read. So the highlight of this game for me was Ryan Tannehill throwing an interception and then making his way across the field to bring down the lineman that intercepted him.
Yeah, and he wasn't a small guy.
No,
Maurice
it was
Hurst
a
is
massive guy.
big old boy.
He properly tackled him into the sidelines. That is determination of a man who realises, I've just rejuvenated my career. I'm about to avoid the franchise tag and get a contract with the Titans, which I, by the way, think absolutely is the right thing for Tennessee to do.
There has been more talk of it the last couple of days, and 21 for 27, 391 yards, 3 touchdowns, and interception, and that interception's not so bad when you take it to that cat.
Here's one for Gary. So Tannehill's had 3 300-plus yard games in his 7 starts this season. Mariota had 8 of those games in his 5 years as a starter, 300-plus yards.
Yeah, I told you he was never any good.
So Ryan Tannehill is now showing you the difference between a quarterback who can't pass properly and one who can. Let's not forget, Tannehill was a first-round quarterback pick, however many years ago it was, 8 years ago.
Same years that Andrew Luck and RG3 came from.
Yeah,
he was the third quarterback.
He went under the radar because of the first 2 being so good,
Still
supposedly.
Top 10, but yeah, he was definitely he was classed as being overdrafted by the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah,
And he's taken time to mature, but
but he was at the Dolphins, who have been terrible for ages now.
Absolutely. So Derrick Henry, 18 carries, 103 yards, 2 touchdowns, been pretty much unstoppable, even though he's injured.
He's a beast.
No quitting is what he says.
Is that what he's, is that official?
No quitting in me.
Derrick Henry is a free agent at the end of this season.
Well, someone needs to sign him quickly.
Not.
No, he is. Well, I'm just saying, officially he is.
You think they'll just franchise tag him?
I don't think they will, but I reckon that he'll sign a contract.
Well, see, if Tannehill doesn't get the franchise tag, then it's there for Derrick Henry if he refuses to sign. Is he likely to look at what happened to the running backs over the last couple of years and their contract situations and think, I'm just going to sign and stay here, rather than hit a market that doesn't want running backs?
I would, just for that reason. And the market for running backs is going to go down dramatically over the next couple of years. Le'Veon Bell's the high point. We're now seeing a lot more teams that are running 2, 3, 4 running back stables. There's very few successful teams that have 1 running back, and that tends to be at the start.
He'll probably get more if he does 1 year as a franchise tag and then signs.
I reckon
potentially.
Yeah. He is a power back, one of these types of one of these backs that will take a lot of knocks. So there is an injury risk there. He's never been completely injury free, like you say. He's got a bit of a knock at the moment. So I reckon if he gets a 3-year contract, that's probably a good deal for him.
There was a nasty moment in this game involving Hunter Renfrow. And if anybody saw this,
I did see
splits.
You did the splits.
Oh, was that Foster Moreau?
I thought it was Hunter Renfrow.
No, it was Foster Moreau.
Foster Moreau.
Sorry, Foster Moreau.
Renfrow plays for the Raiders.
Not just.
So does Foster Moreau.
not just doing the splits, but doing the splits while sliding backwards.
Yeah. It's the GIF I sent to the group.
It was
Yeah.
it was fairly horrendous. and-
Renfro's a tiny little white dude.
Yep.
So's
Yes, you're
Barrow.
quite right.
Foster Moreau ain't tiny though.
No.
He's quite a big
That's the guy who shouldn't be doing the splits.
No, it wouldn't be. I assume he's had to have his gooch sewn back together because I don't know what other injury he could possibly sustain, and he looked in agony.
For anybody in the US, Gooch is taint.
The Colts lost to the Buccaneers 35-38.
Speaking of taint, so Adam Vinatieri been put
gone
on IR,
Immediate retirement.
gone. It's all over, and
Sorry.
it's a bad way to go.
Inevitable retirement.
Replaced by Chase McLaughlin, who promptly came out and missed a field goal. Well done, Colts.
To be fair, Chase McLaughlin was all right at the 49ers when he stood in for
when he
Robbie
did
Gould.
miss, though, it was hilarious.
He did have a horrible miss against the Seahawks, but
Yeah.
yeah. Aside from that, he did all right.
This was the ultimate Jameis Winston experience.
Oh, yeah, I was just about to say the
ultimate.
same.
4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 1,000,000 yards. Just what? All he is the black Ryan Fitzpatrick. And you are going to see him 10 years from now still playing in the league, and we're still going to go, Winston's playing this weekend.
Did he get benched at some point and then come back into the game?
Injured.
He was injured, yeah.
I
don't
saw
think-
reports saying he was benched. And
No, he was struggling, but
Because we weren't watching Red Zone.
Red
as
Zone.
much, so yeah, we
It
just
is-
saw the tweets.
it
going
is the
out.
10th of December 2019. I am sure on the 10th of December 2029, I'm going to be watching 38-year-old Jameis Winston playing against
Slinging
some
interceptions.
awful defense
with a massive beard.
with a massive beard, putting up 7 touchdowns and being lauded as player of the week before following up with an 8 interception appearance the week after. This is what he's going to be.
He seems like somebody playing Madden for the first time. Oh, I'm going to launch it long. Oh, I've been intercepted.
He
Don't worry,
seems
I'll throw
like
again.
somebody who spent the first few years of his career with with the wrong quarterback teaching him.
Well,
Possibly.
it could well be.
I will say, I don't think.
How many years did he spend with Fitzmagic? 2?
They were there, they were both there for 2 years, yeah. But
I'm
This
going to
is who
say,
it's
I don't
gonna be.
think Fitzmagic ever fills up an Uber driver.
I'm just looking at stats for Winston. They're projected stats for the rest for what would be a full season. He's projected to throw for 5,000 yards,
impressive.
32 touchdowns,
Impressive.
and 28 interceptions.
Slightly less impressive.
He's already thrown 5 pick sixes this year alone, which I think ties.
John
the
had
record.
the best stat about Jameis Winston. John, do you remember the stat?
Yes.
Do you?
No.
He has 101 giveaways in his 5 years, and Aaron Rodgers, who has played 10 years longer, has 82. That is all you need to know about Jameis Winston. I love watching him, but I wouldn't want him as a quarterback on my team. The Bucs are going to sign him again.
I think they will. Yeah.
It's gonna mire their franchise in mediocrity forever, because you can't win 3 games in a row with Jameis Winston.
One thing that's going to maybe knock his chances of getting to 5,000 yards, he's lost Mike Evans.
Yeah, that was
3
bad.
games to go, he's lost Mike
Yeah.
Evans.
No point risking him, is there? So.
Well, I don't think he can even be risked. The hamstring went, you saw it go, you knew it was over, he knew it was over. I mean, Chris Godwin's still good enough to put up great yards with, but this is going to mean Godwin gets covered a lot more easily if they're not facing Mike Evans. And it's a shame for him, but you, like you say, you just wrap him up now.
And in fantasy semi-finals, it's a horrible time to lose Mike Evans.
No. I have a plan.
What is the plan?
You'll all see. You'll all see.
Quick
Trade with Beckham.
It's just going to hit Doug with a lead pipe.
quick word on the Colts then. Brissett, 19 of 36, 251 yards. He's throwing to nobody since T.Y. Hilton's been out. They've not really had anything.
Top receiver is Marcus Johnson, 3 receptions, 105 yards. Who? Marcus
Exactly.
Johnson.
Yep.
When you run out of options, you play with your Johnson.
Yep.
Always the way back to that podcast idea again, is it?
Chode Weekly.
Leonard on the defence as well.
What an amazing player.
He's so
It
good.
did the interception where he actively baited Winston into it by pretending to rush him and then just slowly stepping backwards and reaching up and picking the ball out of the air.
You
It was
don't, have to,
amazing.
you don't have to bait Winston into throwing an interception.
No, but he knew how to get that out of him, and it was brilliant. He's a fantastic player.
What's that thing in The Simpsons, isn't there? Like, he's going to do something stupid. Wait for it.
Yeah, every week. this game should be the one that Jameis has as a highlight reel for his career when he's retired. This is the game.
456 yards.
It's absolutely insane.
Now we have to cover the NFC, I guess, NFC East, but let's not spend much time here. Cowboys, 24-31 against the Bears, who are making a late play for the playoffs, and
Outside hope.
it's
The fact that they have hope at this time of the season is miraculous in itself.
They've got a 7-6 record. That took me by surprise when I saw it, because I didn't expect them to have a winning record at this point in the season. They've got to play the Packers.
They've won
still.
4 on the bounce.
I know they've still got to play the
have
Packers.
played-
Well,
though.
so obviously I've just changed jobs, and somebody I'm working with.
Don't pretend you haven't had tiny chode surgery.
Well,
You've been changing jobs.
Anyway, but someone I've just started working with, not been into the NFL before, and chose a team and selected the Bears. Got
Why?
quite into it, and they are unbeaten, and he is loving Mitch Trubisky.
Well,
Because what he's seen in the last 4 weeks,
He's gonna fall
give him time.
hard.
Give him time.
here's the thing with Mitch Trubisky. So 5 weeks ago, he said, I've asked for all the TVs to be removed from our facility. We're not having them on because it's all too negative. And they haven't lost a game since. The difference between that and Baker Mayfield, who throws his own medical team under the bus and is a dick, is astounding. Trubisky isn't going to be a great quarterback, but he's a much better leader than someone like Baker Mayfield, and that counts just as much.
he looked like Lamar Jackson in this game.
He did, yeah. 23 of 31, 244 yards, 3 touchdowns. Did have another pick, but
63 yards on the ground.
63 yards rushing and a touchdown.
Yeah.
This is good Mitch Trubisky. And if you get good Mitch Trubisky for 8 games a season, then you'll be okay. But he's never going to be outstanding. But the point is, this Mitch Trubisky on the Browns team would be 2 really good things coming together. And he would elevate the Browns, whereas I don't think Baker would get anything out of this Bears team.
No,
It's just a comparison I wanted to make.
I think one of the key things for the Bears now, well, certainly in the game against the Cowboys, is they finally got a tight end who seems to be able to catch the ball. So J.P. Holtz, who came in here 3 receptions, 56 yards. I mean, Gary said it earlier, new rookie quarterbacks and pretty bad quarterbacks want tight ends that can catch the ball. That's a safety blanket. And Trey Burton hasn't done that, so J.P. Holtz come in.
The supposed greatest of all time quite liked a tight end to throw the ball to over the years.
Exactly, yeah.
They're taller, they're bigger, they're stronger.
You can just throw it up in the air and hope they'll go up and get it.
Exactly.
But not everyone has Jimmy Graham playing with them at the moment.
There are just a litany of problems at Dallas. We've covered the coaching position. It is awful.
It's the quote from Jerry Jones. He's confident Jason Garrett will be coaching in the NFL next year.
Yeah, I love that.
That was a great quote. Thanks, Jerry.
Just leave it at that.
So a couple of bits of news. Brett Maher has missed 10 kicks this season, leads the NFL in missed kicks, has been cut by the Cowboys. They got rid of him and signed Kai Forbath.
Oh, so it is possible to sack somebody mid-season then?
Apparently so. He was basically, Jerry Jones actually said after the game, kicking is one area we have to improve, and the following day Maher was cut. And you get the feeling he basically just...
Coaching is another area you need to improve.
But
I think he's also said that as well.
You really understand that Jones had to fire someone. Someone had to go, and it was the kicker. But that's just how he is. It's got to be Jason Garrett. There are other problems as well. I mean, Dak's stat line looks good. 27 passes completed for 334 yards and a touchdown, and no interceptions. But there were 49 pass attempts, and Elliott only had 19 carries. There's no balance to that offense at all.
It's been the same all season. I remember at the beginning of the season, I know he wasn't fit. He was coming off being holding out. But he's never had, I don't think, more than 25 touches in a game. And when you've got a player like this, what we were saying earlier, if you're all leaning on a star running back and you've got one running back in your rushing stable, then you need that running back, like Christian McCaffrey has done for the Panthers this year, to be touching the ball 25, 30 times, whether it's handoff to a carry or a receiving pass.
It just opens up so much stuff, doesn't it? You look at the Niners, they're able to do so much because everyone knows the run game's going to get a huge volume of workload. We did a play-action pass on the first play of the game because people are just expecting us to run the ball. So and that's without a Zeke. So I don't know. They still haven't obviously dealt with all these contract issues as well. When can teams start talking to Dak? Is it literally once they're out of the regular season?
Once we hit free agency, people can start speaking to Dak.
Because they've got they've got a lot to sort out in Dallas when they should be focusing just on getting to the playoffs and playing playoff football.
I think they'll end up keeping Dak, but I think they'll try to find, if Garrett does go, and when they'll try and find a coach who wants to work with Dak. If they really can't, and there's no coach out, which I doubt that's going to happen.
Cowboys over the last 5 seasons, when trailing at halftime, have won a total of 4 games.
The 0-7 trailing halftime this season.
Exactly. This is an awfully coached team, and until Garrett is gone, nothing will change. We have said that for how many years?
Yeah, and you look at probably two of the one of the best coaches in the league this season, Mike Tomlin, the game against the Browns, where he changed the game plan and they won it. They were down 10-0 at half time, he came back and won it.
It's like I said to you, even the other day, even though we lost against
Belichick
the Chiefs
this week,
second half.
Yeah, absolutely closed them down to 3 points. So, good coaches figure out what to do at half time. Bad coaches just keep doing the same thing.
Keep their job on the Cowboys, apparently.
Can we stick with the idea that the NFC East sucks chode and move forward?
Yeah, we can.
Well, another NFC East team, but they're playing the Bears' opponents this weekend. They played the Packers and only just lost 15-20.
It wasn't a great offensive performance from the Packers, was it? Not what we were hoping to see from them, but you can't be spectacular every week.
Towards the playoffs, really, aren't they?
Yeah, they seem to have just...
They've plateaued.
Definitely plateaued. They're just not quite as good as they looked quarter of the way through the season.
Sunday's game was Aaron Rodgers' 9th, where his rating is under 100 for the season.
Which is insane for a player like Aaron Rodgers. A game manager that good should not have that many games.
Exactly, yeah.
Like that.
And I was wrong about Aaron Jones. He's had a good season this year.
Streamers and everything. I can't believe it.
To be fair, though, he has not had solid years for the rest of his career.
I've just never heard you say you were wrong before.
No, it is very, very wrong. And if you
someone go and get Kirsty from the house, she's missing this.
And it's only because I like Paul. Otherwise, I wouldn't. If I'd have had an argument with you, there's no way I'd have ever said I got it wrong. But
we haven't had an argument because Bortles and Mariota are not playing this season.
But
Philip Rivers has sucked, and we're all
unanimous on board.
I think for the first 3 or 4 years of his career, Aaron Jones has been, touchdown heavy, and he hasn't really got a lot of yardage, and hasn't been involved, hugely in the offense. He's been there, but this year he has become a very good quality running back. So, well done, Paul.
So Dwayne Haskins in this game. Sorry, Paul. Go on, fire away.
I was going to say is, Rodgers is getting older, and all quarterbacks which are decent seem to lean on the running back when they get older, don't they?
And takes me back to what my complaint was about New England, in that we don't. If we had Aaron Jones on that team, you'd be saying Brady looks as good as Rodgers has done this season. So Dwayne Haskins, 16 of 27, 170 yards, touchdown and a pick. At least he looks serviceable. They've got their quarterback for next year. It's not as bad as we thought earlier in the season. Darius Geis is the concern. He's injured his ACL again.
MCL.
Sorry, MCL.
It doesn't matter,
same knee,
yeah,
different ligament.
Knee, different
They're going to shut
ligament.
him down for the season by the sounds of things. I haven't confirmed it yet.
He's down. He's on IR.
He's gone now.
Okay. It's happened while we're on. While we're here.
This is a concern because you cannot move forward assuming that Darius
without
Geis
an MCL. Yeah.
But you cannot move forward assuming Darius Geis is going to be available for 16 games next season either. So they're clearly not going to stick with Adrian Peterson.
There's going to be some old bloke somewhere who's going to be free.
Frank Gore.
And that's where Washington come good.
Well, if you had a lineup of Gore and Peterson.
Are you over 35?
10 years ago, 10 years ago, that would have driven fear into the hearts of defences.
AP, the 6th player with 14,000 rushing yards all time. So
he's going to beat Curtis Martin by the end of the season. I think he needs a paltry, like 69 points.
But he's going to play next year as well.
69 yards.
Because he needs the money.
True.
Well, I'm just saying. I wouldn't be surprised if Washington have to go back into the draft somewhere in the first three or 4 rounds and pick up another good running back because you cannot rely on Darius Geis. He looks really good when he plays, but 3 games a season.
Where would you be going with there? Because they're going to have reasonably high pick. Where would you be going with that?
probably
O-line?
second round. First round, I'd be going O-line
O-line.
with Redskins. Second round, you can go running back. You could pick up a running back like Travis Etienne out of Clemson, who could possibly go in the first round, but likely in the second round. He's pretty much carried Clemson on his back for the last 2 years, so that could be a good option. I heard this on another recording earlier this week where they said Haskins has a sack problem, and I thought you'd all like that.
Why would we like that?
Because you guys have got that type of sense of humour.
He's got a sack problem. What's Kyler Murray got?
So's Paul.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
But on 14% of Haskins dropbacks, he's getting sacked, and Case Keenum was only 6%.
John's just resolved his sack problem.
Case Keenum was only 6% behind the same offensive line. So it's typical kind of rookie quarterback where he needs a season where he's more familiar with the playbook and more familiar with the speed of the NFL.
The Eagles beat the Giants 23-17.
Cool, that is all that needs to be said about that game.
No.
Eli looked all right in the first half. Yeah, like a really
But
good.
then he started throwing interceptions.
Well, no, he didn't throw any interceptions. He's just in the second half.
Threatening to.
The second half drive chart for the Giants went punt, turnover on downs,
Brilliant.
end.
Yeah, I mean,
But in the first half,
great second quarter where they scored 17 points.
yeah,
I'm glad to see our punter celebrating his new contract.
the game went to overtime, and in overtime, the Giants' defense, which had no rest because of all the punts, could do nothing to stop Wentz.
Yeah,
It was the only time Wentz
I
looked really dangerous.
I think
all
the
game.
whole team went home early. One question, though, because I was watching the highlights this morning. Who the hell is Boston Scott?
Never heard of
Never
him
heard
before.
Never heard of him before, but he looked absolutely amazing yesterday. 10 carries, 59 yards, and 6 receptions for 69 yards, and he was ripping it apart.
So is this the NFL random name generator coming to life
this
again?
Is exactly it.
Did you see the
The
story
Madam
that
Regen.
on the sideline?
Yes, I know where you're going with this.
The Eagles had 2 fit receivers in the second half.
And they were warming up Josh
And
McCown.
Josh McCown had to find
40
a
years old.
non-green dot helmet, the ones with the radio in, so that he could play as a wide receiver. He did apparently play as a wide receiver for the Lions a few years back and got 2 receptions for 30 yards and had a 40-yard reception called back on what he calls a dodgy pass interference. Yeah, I mean, how any team can go in...
It is just catch at the end of the day.
Well,
Like, I get there's routes to
but
run.
now
I know, but
he's
like,
the same age as Brady.
I get that, but I know there's routes to run, but, it is essentially throw and catch.
I mean, it's
like if
more-
you break the game down into real simple terms. Like when we go to the park and we
that's
throw
properly breaking it down,
and we throw the ball around, we're not exactly athletic, and we managed to do it.
Oh, hello. I've got the Eagles on the phone. They said, would you like to sign for next week's game? Because it's just catch. Fucking hell. Greg Ward Jr. and JJ Arcega-Whiteside are the only 2 fit receivers.
No, I'm not. I'm not having you pronounce his name like that. You sound
That's
like you're
how
having
he
a mini
pronounces it.
stroke.
That's how he pronounces it. So you can't see me doing that under the table. But Zach Ertz basically played as a wide receiver throughout this game. And he was amazing again.
Destroyed me in fantasy with 25 points.
Yes, 9 receptions for 91 yards and 2 touchdowns, including the game winner. Darius Slayton, 5 receptions, 154 yards and 2 touchdowns off the back of Eli Manning. That's brilliant. And it's good that Eli showed something.
It's what Beckham should have been feasting on all year.
Yeah, but to be fair, you need someone to replace Beckham. Maybe Slayton is the player.
He's had a good season.
He's been
He has had a
all
good
right.
season.
Do you know what?
Well, Amari Cooper might be free at the end of the year still.
Could well be.
Yep.
We have Shepherd, we have Tate, we have Slayton. It's not the best receiving line, but it's better than what Eli's had for the last few
I
years.
would take that over what we've got in New England.
Jones can find the receivers. He can just also find
can't hold
the
on to the ball.
cornerbacks
Yeah.
as well, can't he? And
But he
the
can also,
safeties.
generally he finds the floor. And
He just did
finds
some.
the cornerback running away from him.
At least you didn't waste a really high pick on him for no reason.
I think one of the key things from this game, apart from the fact that it looks like we might see Eli for another 3 weeks, because Daniel Jones probably isn't coming back in, Carson Wentz took 1 more sack than Eli. So it was 2 for 21 yards lost for Eli and 3 for 25 lost for Wentz. What on earth can we say about this Eagles team? There is nothing good. It's average or below.
And yet
they're still there.
They're still in the playoffs.
They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to lose to a wild card team. But there's nothing. Wentz just doesn't look very good. 33 of 50 for 2 touchdowns. Just a QBR of 52. I mean, all right, granted, it was better than Manning's QBR of 11.5, but
Hey, he's got 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah,
he has to. I've been really disappointed by Wentz this season. I just don't think I don't think he's taken. Same as Goff.
I've been disappointed by the whole.
These two
Eagles
guys
team.
who were drafted together have both taken massive steps back.
I think maybe next year, if he had quite bad injuries, didn't he, Wentz? And I think if you look at like Derek Carr, he's taken 2 years to come back. Andrew Luck took quite a while to come back.
And then
It's the
gave
same
up.
injury as well,
It's
Carl.
very similar things. So I think maybe give him this year off and just write it off. And,
Well, it looks like he's taken some of the year off.
So yeah, we mentioned the fact that Eli is now, by coming back and losing this game, he's now got a losing
117.
record.
Yes, he has a losing record, and in the same game, this is the first time the Eagles have ever been leading the head-to-head between the Eagles and the Giants. I think they've played 85 games, and the Eagles are now 1 up, and they've never been up before.
But we're 1 up on rings.
Well, yes.
I've got no other defence apart from we've got some rings.
Got more.
It's called the Sonic defence.
3 up on rings.
So the Seahawks and the Rams met on Sunday in another NFC game with playoff seedings on the line. And the rejuvenated Rams just about keep themselves in the hunt with quite a big win, 28-12, that few people saw
almost
coming.
look back to their best.
Yeah.
I thought they actually,
And it's rare to see the Seahawks lose by,
they got destroyed.
yeah.
Like,
Did they use Todd Gurley? And
Yeah,
just
they actually started using Todd Gurley for a change.
because he came out and said, didn't he? Goes, I need to stop being an idiot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
did
need
you use those words?
That is what he
Yeah, he
actually
did. That is what he
said.
said.
That is exactly what he said. I'm quoting
They
him.
have been trying to conserve Gurley for a playoff run that they're currently not having.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He said, I need to stop being an idiot and use Todd Gurley.
And
He's basically gone away from everything he did
Yep.
when he arrived, and he's just
But we said it. We
Became
said
too
it,
cautious.
We said it throughout the season. They've been trying to manage him, and they're almost out of the playoff race. Like they're clinging on because of the strength of the NFC and also the NFC West. So have they left it just a bit too late to start using Gurley?
Yeah, I think so.
maybe.
But there were many good things about the Rams in this team. All right, Goff did throw 2 picks alongside his 2 touchdowns, but he wasn't sacked. I think it's only the second game this season where he hasn't been sacked. And that is key because like many pocket quarterbacks, he has to have some protection in order to be any good. And when you do protect him, he is very good. But it's no different to Brady or, name something, Breeze as well. If you can move them about and they don't want to move, they will be inaccurate.
He doesn't need to move. They don't need to move far. They just need to have to avoid the pressure and get into a place where they can actually throw the ball. Brady's an expert at it. Like watch Brady in the pocket. Maybe not this year, but in the last few years.
I don't know. Even this week, he was still moving.
Yeah,
well
he
in
still
the actual
he still
pocket.
moves away.
Yeah, it's
from
just
the,
how
the
long
pressure.
you give him to move. Yeah,
and these are things that Goff needs to learn about. Wentz is a bit different in terms of like he doesn't just move in the pocket; he moves well outside of that kind of tackle area. So he kind of does the bootleg and throws it at another cornerback. What I was also impressed by seeing on Sunday night was that Tyler Higbee, the tight end, was getting involved, and this is the second game now. He's started to get more involved, and tight end hasn't.
They're paying him so much
I
money.
know, but tight end hasn't been a position that the Rams have made use of in previous years. They had Jared Cook there a couple of years, well, for the last couple of years, and they never really threw to him that often because they had Woods, they had Cup, and they had Brandon Cook. Tyler Higbee last game had 2 100-yard games. And
it's the first time
again,
he's had consecutive 50 yards.
Yeah, so, like,
They're really getting him involved.
just get him involved. He's a good player.
He should be open based on the other receivers they've got.
And also the fact that they need to keep someone on Gurley as well. There's 4 people there. You want to be marking.
4 people should be covered.
Brandon Cooks wasn't even targeted in him. Is his time the Rams done? Is his
Yeah.
time
Of
in the
course.
league done? Yeah, but
Unless they're going to cut him,
and I think
and he
they
walks
might,
away with 17 million quid
or
next year.
he might retire.
No.
Look,
Well, it
he
depends
is
if he gets
banged
knocked
up.
out one more time.
He's banged up. I don't think he's the same player from the day he got sacrificed in the Super Bowl loss. He hasn't been the same player.
That was you moment.
It
I
really
remember
was.
watching your little face. Everyone else,
Just to win that
everyone
game.
else savoured it so much, and you were just so angry.
I think the best thing about it was legal.
It was a beautiful hit, but it killed us.
He's
But
not
he's
the
never.
same.
He's selling his home in LA.
Well, because you can buy a big one next year on these 17 million quid that's coming in.
I do like just looking at when you search certain players on Google, just seeing their first suggestions. Brandon Cooks, injury. Brandon concussion. Brandon Cooks. Or Robert Woods.
Well, when we went to Wembley, we sat there and I said, Brandon Cooks will get knocked out. And then he got knocked out.
First play of the game.
First play. It's just what happens.
Do we think Russell Wilson in this game, 22 of 36, 245 yards and a pick and the 5 sacks, has removed himself from the MVP race?
No, it's just one bad game.
Yeah.
Is it just one bad game?
I don't
Because
think...
do you need to be consistently good to keep up with Lamar?
I don't think he'll be MVP. I think it'll be Lamar.
It'll probably be
Lamar
Lamar.
is 23 rushing yards away.
Lamar's the fashionable choice.
Well, and he's going to have the record rushing yards for a quarterback of all time.
But the only person who was keeping pace with him was Russell Wilson, and this is the first game where he's really dropped back.
I've been saying this most of the season. I'm still not that impressed with Seattle this year. They've a lot of games they're winning by one score. Not even that.
They've not had a terribly hard schedule.
They've not had
apart
a really
from divisional
hard
games.
schedule. Okay,
But
this is one of the first games
away from home.
This is one of the first games that got been properly blown out.
Yeah,
there's a big issue if their luck starts running out and someone starts getting to Wilson a bit more consistently.
And they've lost a running back now as well, haven't they? They've only got
Rashard Penny's out
gone,
out
so
for
he's
the
just
season
Carson left, which does not help.
no.
Well, move on to the remaining games. Chargers 45, Jags 10.
Pointless.
Jacksonville.
Rivers got the best ever stats on your birthday or something though. It's his birthday.
But it was his best ever stats on his
birthday.
Yeah.
38 or whatever.
Yeah,
and done.
He should just walk away from this game. 213 total yards for Eckler. If you played him in fantasy, amazing. John, did you play him in fantasy?
I played him in my other league, yes.
Chase has him in our league.
Okay.
But yes,
it was
and
amazing.
I'm through to the semi-finals of every playoff.
Well, there you go. You got a note here about clearing house in Jacksonville, and I couldn't agree more.
Who are you keeping other than DJ Chark?
You keep Fournette.
Oh no,
Do you?
Miles Jack.
I think there's some players.
He's so good, but infuriating.
Keep Foles. Relocate the team to Philadelphia.
Win a Super Bowl.
Watch the playoff rings. All of it
Start
come
dropping.
down. Yeah, it's going to happen.
Well, what I thought you meant there was in the fact that the front office and the coaching staff all has to go.
Everything has to go.
Because there's still a lot of good players on that Jacksonville team, apart from Nick Foles. So it's not so much a case of rebuilding the whole roster; it's a case of rebuilding the coaching staff, figuring out what they want to do. Yeah, I think the players like Calais Campbell's probably getting a bit older. He'll go, but there's still some. Yannick Ngakoue is coming up for a contract renewal.
But none of these players are playing for the team.
Well, that's
they're
just
all
it.
just
And
individuals.
that's why you need to bring in a new coach.
And
proper
there is
coaching
nothing
staff.
on offense.
No.
Like you say, apart from DJ Shark,
Leonard Fournette.
who turned up this year out of nowhere. Apart from that, there's been nothing at wide receiver for.
But that's because they focus
forever.
so much. For the last 3 years, they've focused on the defense. They've invested all the
But
money.
they've just
and a lot
lost
of picks
pieces
in-
bit
and a lot
by
of
bit
picks
over the
into-
last 3
into
years
defense,
as well.
Yeah,
Awful.
and they've
still
got to
got-
have 2 first-round picks going into the next 2
They
years.
gave themselves
so they can
1
start
year to
building
do
up.
anything, didn't they? That year they got to the championship
Yeah.
game under the mighty stewardship of Blake Bortles, and then it's just all gone wrong.
But they've actually got the pieces and the ammunition in the draft to start building a new team. So they've got pieces, build around the ones that are young enough to stay for the next few years, get rid of players like Calais Campbell, and move on. But move on from Doug Marrone as well. Fucking hell.
And Tom Coughlin, because I said I thought Tom Coughlin was
Tom
staying, but now
Coughlin,
I
Doug
don't.
Marrone, David Caldwell all have to go. The whole lot. Start again.
I think you need to. Calais Campbell deserves some love though, just for his description on Madden this year.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, wreaks havoc with his incredible length.
Yeah.
I had something
I read that
similar written
for
about
you.
me once.
There's a really
I
good.
spat a drink out across my living room.
There's a good video of Ngakoue and Rivers interacting, where.
Where are you going with this, John?
No,
you
no, it's
can't
just-
afford to stumble on this.
No, because obviously
Stop.
We've all gone quiet.
Ngakoue gets to Rivers, but on his long touchdown pass, 90 yards, and Ngakoue's very humble and like, oh, here you go, mate. And Rivers just gets him and goes, woo! 90-yard touchdown! And he's like, Ngakoue's like, what is this guy about, man? And just Phil Rivers is a dick.
Philip Rivers deserved a good day this season. Just retire now and walk away.
He went home and made another baby.
I'm not even sure he got home.
Just all round the changing room.
He looked at a woman somewhere in the area of the stadium.
But finally, Vikings 20, Lions 7.
So the only reason I've come back tonight is for you to all tell me how wrong you were about Kirk Cousins, Michael.
I
To be
said it a
fair,
few weeks ago.
we've been
I
saying
want you
for
to
the
say it
last
to my
few
face,
weeks.
though.
Kirk
We-
Cousins currently the number 2 rated quarterback in the league.
Only number 2.
Well, Lamar is number
okay.
1. He's having a great time. When he falls apart in the playoffs, we'll talk again because he will. But there'll be no Kirk Cousins bashing until then.
See, there's no Monday night football in the playoffs.
No,
No,
but
is
it's
there?
all prime time.
All of it. You got to remember, he was with the Redskins for years. If he gets in the playoffs, he'll get a nosebleed.
Well, let's see. Look, he's been very, very good. They have a very good chance. Let's not assume they're going to make the playoffs, but they should.
Oh, they're making the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's whether they win the division.
Yeah.
Because they've been
Yeah.
on an upwards trajectory for the last quarter of the season, and the Packers,
Well,
like we say, have plateaued. I think that's going to be really
Week
interesting.
16 is Packers at Vikings, so that'll be the decider. Unless the Packers lose to the Bears, which
which they could.
Could happen.
could happen. Duncan.
Dalvin Cook playing with an injury, but still.
Yeah, 18 carries, 62 yards and a touchdown. And once again, basically, when it was clear they were going to win, they put in Mattison instead, who had 46 yards
Brilliant.
and 14 carries.
Yeah, see, they've done exactly what the Rams should have done.
Yeah.
It's just
Start
go
with Gurley.
full throttle,
Yeah. Yep.
and then once you've won the game, then you rest
Put him
him.
out, yeah.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just put him in once every 10 plays. Oh, we've lost the game. Brilliant. Well done, Sean McVay.
Daniil Hunter, youngest ever player to 50 sacks.
Yep, 25 years old.
That's impressive. I mean,
Very impressive.
His name is Danielle, which is a shame.
No, Daniil.
Daniil.
Which I am gutted they lost Captain Munnerlin.
Yeah.
Because you had the captain and Daniil on defence.
And David Blau, second start in the league. He was okay. 205
wasn't.
yards, touchdown. Yeah, for a guy who, where did you say he used to play?
I don't actually remember.
Purdue.
Purdue, yeah.
The
he was the
quarterback
backup
at
at
Purdue.
Purdue.
There you go. I
thank
knew you said something about it last week. That's effectively like wheeling one of us 5 out there and saying, "Go play catch," and he's all right at it.
The game is just throw and catch. He should be able to throw.
Yeah. Cool. So, that's all this week covered. Now it's time to look at next week's games.
Yeah, the schedule for next week. Yeah, no problem at all. So, on the Thursday game this week.
Yeah, that's a whitewash.
Yeah, it's Jets at Ravens.
Won't be staying up for that.
No, it just says here Baltimore favoured to win.
And if you are still in your contention to win your fantasy, pick up any Ravens players you can.
Any Ravens players at all.
Especially
if you can get a Hollywood Brown, because he could be still on the waivers, he is worth picking up.
Here's
way.
here's some interesting ones on the Sunday games then. So the Eagles go to the Redskins, which is interesting because it's divisional, and because there's a good chance the Redskins don't just capitulate.
I think the Eagles just win that game, which means they could end up heading the division.
Which is fine, but I'm with you. I think if they win, it's only just.
Because the rejuvenated Rams go to the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So that's a concern. If that could be the end of Garrett if they lose that. And I know he said he won't sack him mid-season, but if they lose again at home and they lose and they're not at the top of the division.
I think there's a very good chance that the Cowboys lose to the Rams.
I think the Rams.
The way the
will
Rams
win
have played the
yeah.
last 2 games, they've looked
Do you
good.
think he's going to have to do something then?
No, I don't think they will.
think it's too late. I think it's the end of the
Too late.
season. And also, if his contract runs out at the end of this year, they can just let him go for free.
Yeah.
So the Patriots will continue their slide against the Bengals.
On to Cincinnati.
Do you know what?
So you got the Bengals and Miami. Who else do you play by the end of the
Bills.
season? And the Bills.
In between. Yeah.
So the Bills might give you a game, but you'll beat them because it's a divisional game.
You've also got a game
Comes out
against
Foxborough
Northampton
as well.
Ladies Bowls Club or something, haven't you?
one of the games, either the Bengals or the Dolphins, we will lose one of those games because we always lose.
No, it's
to a
not
run.
in. It's not in Miami.
If you lose to the
Then it
Bengals,
could be the
I
Bengals.
will laugh.
You've been in the AFC Championship game for 50 years straight and you think you're going to lose to the Bengals. What's wrong with you?
We're a terrible team at this time of year.
You're
right
a terrible team. My team haven't won a game in 40 years.
9 games.
I don't remember what...
9-game losing streak.
I
There
don't remember
are
what
a
it
couple
feels like to
of-
win as a Giants fan.
Which is your longest.
Broncos Chiefs
tied.
might be a good game.
Broncos Chiefs might be a good game. The Broncos resurgence is, if it was the other way around, if the Broncos were at home, I would say that they, have got a very good chance. I think the Chiefs will have too much for them.
There's some very interesting, who sucks more games.
Yeah, so the
right.
Jags at the Raiders.
Raiders win that.
The Raiders
Yeah.
should easily win that. Do you know the Jags are the first team since 1986 to lose 5 games in a row. 5 games in a row. By 17 or more points. The Bucks did it in 1986.
Jags will win.
They have been awful. No, I think they'll lose, and I think they could lose by that score and just keep that streak going.
I like listening to this after the results of the week that we predict. The Jags will win.
There we go. There's some interesting playoff contention games as well. Texans at Titans. So Texans and Titans meeting twice in 3 weeks, which could decide the AFC South.
I think the Titans are going to beat them.
Yeah, I think they could do as well.
Yeah.
The Titans are a much better team than the Texans right now.
Completely agree.
And here's another
Much
one.
more consistent.
The AFC wildcard teams at the moment are the Bills and the Steelers, and they meet this week
Sunday
at
night.
Heinz Field.
Steelers win that.
Yeah, I think so, but
Just.
I don't know.
I wonder whether this might be the game where having a fourth choice quarterback finally catches him out.
Yeah.
Because this Bills defense is really good. He's not going to move the ball on this Bills defense.
I'm going to go with the Steelers. I think the Steelers win that.
I'm a Gary.
I'm going to go Bills.
I will pick
I'm
the
going
Bills.
Bills.
Okay, there we
There you
go.
go.
Well, we've got a
3 plays
fairly
2.
even split.
Bills win them.
But yeah, there are some good games, and like
Bears
Paul
at
said,
Packers.
Yeah, see if the Packers
At
lose
Packers, they should win at Lambeau.
that. Oh, of course, they almost always beat the Bears at Lambeau. But if the Bears can win that division is incredibly tight. So,
Although Vikings go to Chargers.
yeah, you've got to assume the Vikings are going to win that.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they're coming back off a confidence-building win this week, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Oh, another game with draft implications. Dolphins at Giants. Cool, you've got to feel confident about that one, boys, surely?
No.
Nope.
Confident you'll lose so you can maintain the second pick. Is what he meant.
I think Eli might want to level up his record. I think they
Yeah.
might win that.
Chase Young's going to be great in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are definitely a couple of stinkers, but that's all the key ones, I think.
I think Eli will want to get back to 50-50, won't he?
Oh, he'll want to. He won't. No. Yeah. Well, fantasy. Of course, it's semi-finals for those still in your leagues. For
Beat the winner of the league last season.
what's worth remembering, of course, is
Sorry,
no
what
Mike
was I about
Evans. Calvin Ridley's gone. People might have picked up Geis recently, so you know, there's not much on the waivers. So
I
maybe
think look at if Mark Andrews is out, your Ravens tight ends, like I say, Hollywood Brown, if he's on waivers, worth looking at.
or just make a trade with big people outside the outside the
Darius
playoffs.
Slayton, if he's available.
But yeah. So from us,
You could pick up Eli to play against the Dolphins.
That's not a bad one.
Eli to pick up against the Dolphins.
actually, do you know what? Slayton's still available in a lot of
Just
leagues as
said
well.
Darius
Sorry,
Slayton.
Exactly what he was just
I was
saying.
being tickled.
You were
at the
getting
time.
molested at the time.
Oh my gosh, it's all falling apart at 10:44 at night. It's time to wrap it up, John.
Yeah. So from us, good night. We'll see you next week. Bye.